So I'm happy to be here. Really passionate about olive oil. I love olives. Uh, we brought we brought a little bit of olive oil from Carmel Valley. Everybody needs to be a little bit local with their ingredients. So if it's right down the street and it tastes good, and I know when it was picked and produced, I'll definitely use it. But the most important thing is that it has good flavor. I'm not going to use something. There's some farmers that I've used that are in Carmel Valley, and just because they were picked that day doesn't mean that they taste good. Sometimes I've had beets and carrots that you eat them and they were picked that day, and they still taste like nickels, in your mouth. Just a lot of mineral and not a lot of sweetness. Same with Carmel Valley is not known for tomatoes because in the mouth of the valley it doesn't really get hot enough. We buy mostly from Swank Farms out here because you guys get the heat, and we get the watermelons. For me, one of the better farmers because it's large enough to supply you. 2, it's organic, and 3, it definitely tastes good. And for me, they're very nice. I like the Swanks. We also deal with B&R Farms, and I wanted to kind of pair up today with them because not only do we buy, I'm a apricot freak. I probably have 10 or 15 different varieties in my house, from red apricots to white apricots to Blenheim to Moore Park to Canadian, and it's very difficult to buy really ripe good fruit, and they do a great job. We buy maybe 100 pounds a week, and we'll take and make sorbets and ice creams and sauces. And today we're going to use the apricots for kind of almost like a chutney. So we're going to do the braised veal cheeks with little black olives for the saltiness, and then the apricots kind of for the fruitiness, and it'll throw a little bit of just a little bit of a contrast profile for the guy that's serving the wine, because the apricot, black olive, and the earthiness of the beef cheeks or veal cheeks, it's sometimes challenging. So today we have I'm serving the veal cheeks. Veal cheeks are the jowls of the veal. They're smaller. I could kind of show you a little. This one after it's cooked, if you can see, though the beef cheeks, that's 3 in there, and I'll open it up in a second. But they're a little bit more flavorful. And maybe not as tender because it's a little older animal. Veal is always a little bit more tender, but anytime you get an older animal, it's always has a little bit more flavor than a younger animal. Today we're gonna. I don't know if you have do they have recipes at all?
Yeah, we have recipes.
Do they?
We'll start passing them around right now.
Okay, so we do have recipes. I'm going to start with a very simple olive bread that we make. At has like 8 ingredients. Best part about doing something like this, I try to make it as simple as possible. I'm not going to give you 40 ingredients and things that you can't find. And we'll talk about the veal cheeks later because one, they're not the easiest thing to find. But with the internet, you can find anything. You really can. So right now we have flour, and it's kind of important. Sometimes really easy, especially if you're traveling. Measure everything out ahead of time. So we combine the yeast and the sugar. Once again, we do have recipes. So this is dried yeast. It's not cake yeast. Something you can find pretty much in the baking section of Safeway. I'm going to pour that in the bowl. And yeast, I mean, we all kind of know with wine and yeast that you need to kind of get it started a little bit. So this is the water, and then added the olive oil already. Pour that in there. Generally, you need to wait about kind of like 10 minutes. The water should be body temperature. If you make the water too hot, it'll kill the yeast. If you add salt to the yeast, it'll kill it. So yeast likes sugar. So the sugar, flour, all that stuff is yeast likes. So once again, it's gonna sit there for a second. I might just turn it on for a second. We'll just move it around a little bit. The warmer the water, the faster it activates. So we'll let that go a little bit. The other ingredients are pretty much just the flour that we've kind of pre-measured. A little extra flour. This normally we would add salt to bread, but there's enough salt in the olives. If you don't add salt to bread, it doesn't really turn a golden brown. It kind of just is white. And there are a lot of classic breads, especially Italian breads, that don't use salt. But I personally, I'm kind of a salt freak. I do like salt. I like salt all over the whole piece of bread. So I'm just going to add just a smidgen of salt. Just like one little pinch. So I'll let that go just a little bit. Get the flour, olives. So we buy the olives that are already pitted. I'm sure you can find olives that are pitted. These are the Kalamatas, and the green ones are the Calestranos. I probably pronouncing it wrong. Kind of just almost like a martini kind of green olive. The Kalamatas, you could even use the I don't know what you call it, salt cured. Have a little more intense flavor. You can pretty much add anything. If you want to add a little garlic, if you wanted to add some bacon. I mean, this is a very simple bread, but you can just stuff it with all kinds of stuff. You know, so I'm gonna let that go. This is just a little parchment. Most of the time I don't add everything. With bread, you never know. If it's a dry day, you don't need as much flour. Let that go. So that's.
Take it.
I'll keep it
Okay.
for a little bit, just in case. I have a hard time these days because I'm just right in the middle of different pair of glasses. So I have to go like this to see, and then I have to put this on to see you guys. So it's just it gets complicated sometimes. I've had these pair of glasses for about 4 years, and I finally joined Costco to get a new pair. So we're mixing. I'm just gonna go for it. Gotta do that. Oh, thanks. So we'll let that go a little bit. Can you unwrap that real quick?
Wrap this.
Just unwrap it so we can do it. So that's pretty much the complication of the whole recipe right here. And once it comes together, what we're waiting for is for the full. You can start seeing it's starting to pull from the sides. And the reason we're mixing it is because we want to develop the glutens and or the proteins inside the flour. That's why we use bread flour. So if you had a really good bread flour, what you're trying to do is just produce an elastic, like a balloon, in the bread, so that it holds all that gas in there that's produced from the yeast, so that you have a lighter bread. If you don't produce, if all that yeast when you're baking it escapes, then you kind of have a harder bread. And I'll show you in a second that. Do that. And olives. Plus, we reuse all these things. You can see. So you need to go for about 10 minutes. You'll see, I don't know what you can see, but it's starting to look good. So we'll let that go a little bit. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. Always a little bit, because like I said, you never know, because different flours, different temperatures in the or humidities. Every day is different. It really is, because but it's. But yeah, all you have to think about is have it just starting to pull away a little bit. A little bit. Oh.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to.
What was the question?
Microphones.
Okay. You want me to translate for you? You want me to speak into it? What are you looking for, Chef
if you can
Cal?
see it right now, this is perfect right here.
Él dice que quiere en el pan. Sorry.
So what I'm going to do is just going to push some of the olives down, because you never want to waste any good flavor. And you can see it's starting to develop right here into a ball. That means that this is the hardest part of the whole recipe. I mean, everything else is, other than measuring things out. I'll just say the softer the loaf, like right now would be a good one, but if it was still sticking to the side, that would be more like a Wonder Bread. You'd get that kind of soft, spongy, and then the more flour you add, it gets a little more tougher and tougher. If you wanted something that would hold up, make the bread the dough actually a little bit more firm. But right when it starts pulling this away, that's kind of where we want it to be. Still, and sometimes olives have a little bit more moisture, and it's still not pulling away as much as I want it.
We have a question.
No, I'm sorry. No. We're trying to wait.
We don't have a question. It's just my parents' friends that wanted to talk to me. Hey, Don, your friends are right here. Come on over. We're waiting for you.
Where am I going to do that?
Okay, back to the main show here.
Do that. Do you have a half sheet pan? Or just even a Teflon? So with doughs, it's good to put a little bit of flour on your fingers. And pull this out here. We'll get rid of this. I'll use it. I can use this. It's okay, Mike.
I got it. I'm here, chef.
Thanks.
Just like the good old days.
The very good old days.
Except you're yelling at me a lot more. You're such a mean chef.
Well, it's your show.
I'm
So
grown.
there's the dough right here. And what you're looking for, oh, well, thank you, is stretching it out a little bit. See how it's starting to kind of get taut here? That's a good word, huh? It's like a water balloon. And that's kind of what you want. If you start doing this and it starts tearing, it means you need to develop the glutens a little bit more, but just by mixing it for another 5 minutes or so. But at this point, you just want, see that here?
Extreme close-up.
I mean, you could even make this into a pizza dough, but I'd put a little olive oil over it, some rock salt. You can proof it one time, or you could just go with it just right here. Normally at work, we'll proof it in the bowl. It'll kind of double up, and then we'll knock it down, and then just divide this up into three little lobes. Or you can do whatever you want. You can take it and just roll it into little rolls and bake them off that way. It's just the important thing is to develop the gluten and also keep the outside moist so that when it does grow, it doesn't tear. You want the olive oil to kind of keep the outside skin from cracking. So we'll leave that be. We'll put that to the side.
Take that.
Here. Get off my fingers. Oh, thanks. Okay. So this is actually the finished loaf. This one got a little soggy. Normally, what I would do is the baker, or we don't have a baker, but the pastry person, I think proofed it a little too much. It means when it comes up, eventually, if you let it rise too much, it'll stop growing and start kind of collapsing because they're run out of energy to produce all the little, I guess it's carbon dioxide or whatever. But this one's a little bit flatter than it should be, but it still makes great toast. And once again, it's very simple, and you can make that whole loaf and then just freeze them. But it's for me, it's a very good recipe.
So that kind of wraps it up for the bread. Do you want to go around and see if anybody had any questions about the bread first before we go
Sure.
on to the next?
When I've done bread before, I've let it rise and then I've punched it and let it rise again. Is that not something I should be doing? Or?
If you let it rise and punch it and let it rise, the more you punch it, the finer the grain. A lot of like the French loaves, if you see the big air bubbles, they've only let it rise or risen once. But this one I'd do a double rise. Just do it in the bowl and then pull it out, and then just do what I did by forming it and then let it rise with olive oil and some salt, and then just put it in the oven at 450 for about 25 minutes or so. And you'll love it. It really is good. Like I said, if you add some bacon or any other garlic is very good. And you can even just add garlic and not even any olives, and it makes really nice garlic bread.
Do you do it as a sourdough?
Not this one particular, but you can. I mean, you could take this, you could add the flour a couple days ahead and kind of, or use a sourdough recipe and just add the olives to it. Yeah, but just all about fermentation. Are we ready?
One more, and then we'll go into the beef cheek.
Here.
If you freeze the dough, how long would it last in the freezer?
I wouldn't freeze the dough. I'd make it and make the bread because I think the freezer will kill the yeast. So just make it, wrap it really well, put it in the freezer, pull it out on special occasions. That's how I know.
All right, we're gonna get into the.
As long as you don't have to pit those olives, everything's pretty simple.
I Unless you've got me to pit all the olives for you. Right.
Okay, just let me clean up just a little bit. Oh, thank you. So, you've probably seen a lot of this. It works great. It's the cleanest thing ever. Just a little cryovac. They sell them everywhere. They're down to about $200. I've seen them for $150. Just like a tiny machine, and it just sucks all the air out of them. They're great for traveling. Make all your, you can make all your foods and make them so that they're plastic safe. I can't remember the term, but you can take this whole thing and pop it in some warm water, which would be, I would just say 180 degrees, 190 degrees, and you could cook this whole thing in about 16 hours, just like that. Sounds like the old bird's eye vegetables, doesn't it? Yeah. I never thought it would ever come about. About 10 years ago, I would say cooking in plastic. I just remember about the vegetables, the peas and the carrots. I don't cook in plastic. We do a couple little things like abalone, because I like a slow cooked abalone that's cooked whole, other than sliced thin and pounded and quickly breaded and sauteed. That's one thing we do, but I'm not a big person. I just like storage. This you can just throw in your ice chest. Ice, it stays cold. You don't have to worry about a big bowl or anything. But I mean, check into it. It's very clean. It's just there's nothing on the outside. But these are veal cheeks. You could get. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but a lot of butchers could special order these things. Most of them are frozen because they could only get so many cheeks. There's only 2 cheeks on every cow. So, and veals I think have 3. I can't remember, but no. But everything has a cheek. And we buy halibut cheeks. We buy salmon cheeks. We buy what other fish? The tuna cheeks. Most of them, it's very rare that they're not frozen, but they're just a very delicious part. I don't know if you ever had salmon or trout, that little part right in the jowls there. They're about this big. They're just memorable. They're almost like having the little oysters from the back of the chicken and turkey that the cook always steals first. So we just open this up. There's 3 in here. These are pretty much cooked. So this is a veal cheek. It's probably one of the most tender pieces and delicious meats on the animal that's yet to be braised. With beef, I'm a kind of a beef person, or used to be a lot more of a beef person, but I don't eat as much anymore. But the filet mignon, everybody loves the filet, but it's probably the least flavorful meat on the whole cow because of it's the least worked muscle. You kind of need the most flavorful was usually like the legs or the shoulders, but they're tough. You have to braise them. So once you start getting down into the New Yorks and the ribeyes, they're kind of halfway in between. But they're still tender, but they're still tender, but you don't have to braise them. You can grill them and still get some circulation through it, because it is honestly it's the blood and the fat that give you all the flavor. So I have this. There's a little bit of sinew on here. I leave that on because all that turns into gelatin. When you braise meat, you want at the very end, you want that kind of the gelatin that gives you your like in wine, gives you the texture. Like if you braised a fillet, you wouldn't really have much, and it wouldn't be that flavorful of a soup. But this you could braise for 2 hours at a slow simmer, or you could, like I said, go even the lower you go, the longer it goes, the more tender it actually is. I could cook this in probably 15 minutes on a grill, but I could also cook this for, 4 or 5 hours really slow. Important thing is to season it well. I just do salt and pepper, a little bit of olive oil, and we'll go over my time here. Important thing for us when we're cooking is that we have a little container like this. If you have a big day, if I was going to do a Thanksgiving dinner, I'd always have a big container full of warm water. That way you don't have to just throw everything in the sink. You just you always have a spoon, you always have a strainer. In all kitchens, they always have on each station, a little thing of water, so that when you serve something, you put it back in, it kind of cleans it out a little bit. Okay, so little kosher salt. You could use kosher salt. Most kitchens honestly use the red diamond. The Mortons and Leslie's seem to be way saltier. So as long as you're consistent with your salt, that way you don't have to over season things. These are larger grains. I've been using those for 20 years. The iodized salt is really salty, and that's really hard to cook with. And sometimes when we run out of this, we have to use some other salt, and that's when everybody starts complaining out front because it either is undersalted or oversalted. Lots of pepper. You can do this an hour ahead or so. It's good to have it sit. Kind of like when you brine things. It gives the opportunity for the salt to go inside. And then the reason you sear it is you want a little bit of that caramelization on the meat. That's what kind of gives more flavor, and that's all you're looking for is flavor. Whatever you can do to add more flavor. You can always dilute it, but you can never add more flavor at the very end. So if the thing is really intense and too concentrated, you could always add a little white wine or even water. I don't even have the recipe, but we'll kind of move it ahead because this will take a couple hours and you'll probably get bored. I'm going to just season a little bit on top.
It's okay, Chef. I think everybody has a glass of wine in the crowd, so take your time.
Okay. I love these. By the way, where are you? I like the ones that some are designed where they have a little ball in the bottom, so they never stand straight. They always kind of fall over. So I like the wooden ones. That's mostly what we use in the restaurants. So you want a little bit of you want caramelization. In my experience, if your meat doesn't caramelize, like on the grill or in a pan, there's something wrong. Especially fish too. Fish, scallops, meat. It needs to. If it caramelizes really fast and nicely, it's a good piece of meat or fish. But there's scallops you buy that are a little bit treated. They don't tell you. As a preservative and a whitener. As soon as you put it in the pan, all this water just comes out, and it almost looks like a sunny side up egg. It's just really kind of tells you it's not a good quality, and I probably wouldn't buy from them again. So we'll just let that go a little bit. So in the recipe, what we would do, we'd sear this off nicely, and then pull that out, add all the vegetables. We have diced celery, onions, there, bacon there, some diced bacon. I'm not going to use all this, but I'm just showing you. Carrots. This is the brown stock. You're in a real world, you really don't need brown stock. I mean, a little bit of chicken stock, but I've done this just with red wine because there's so much. There's fat, and then there's all that the sinew that turns into like gelatin. The reason you cook with wine is one for flavor, but mostly for acidity. You know, if you didn't have wine, I would just use water and lemon juice. But you really need to balance out the meat with some type of acidity, or it's just going to taste really flat. That's why with meat, a lot of times you need mustard or Worcestershire sauce or A1. It just sometimes it's just with all that fat, you need something to brighten it up. It's like having a salad just with olive oil. It's good, but it's a little flat. Yeah, a little vinegar, lemon juice. You could eat it all day, but it would be hard to eat a 4 or 5 course meal of just cream and butter. Your body would just get tired. So we have. I'll just pretend we're doing this. So this is seared. Well, so it was kind of seared. And once again, you're just looking for. So we'll put a little carrots, a little bit of thyme. Celery, carrots in here. That's mostly just for the flavor. A little, if you want bacon. I mean, a little smoky flavor is always good. What you want with your vegetables, especially your onions and your carrots, or turnips or anything, you want to cook them really far down, because that's where, I mean, right now you'd have a raw flavor, but the farther you cook carrots down, I don't know if I'm sure everybody's kind of cooked carrots where they're almost golden, and you taste them and they're really very sweet. That's your other component. So you had the acidity from the wine, and then the sweetness from the meat and the caramelization and the bacon and the carrots and the onions. So you just kind of want, when you're cooking, to have that particular balance. So normally I would just cook that until all the vegetables are soft. It is, I'll just say it's a drinkable wine. This one is a Zinfandel. It just happened to be a sample. Normally, I mean, in a perfect world, it would be more of a Cabernet that had a little bit of acidity. Zinfandels are a little kind of flat. So I have the wine, and then...
Let's say it's a DeRose Zinfandel. How about that?
Okay, DeRose would be good, yeah.
Does anybody else have any other questions? Well, we got a quick minute in the intermission.
Okay.
Yeah, anybody? Anybody have any questions?
Hi, Chef. So is this kind of a French braising technique for this type of a cooking?
Entirely. Yeah, I think everything with wine is either Italian or French. But it's, like I said, it's just something that you want to just simmer out. The wine and the either veal stock or beef stock. But the important thing would be to kind of keep things going very slow.
Anyone else? Any other questions while we're reducing some vino? No, we're good. We're good. Carry on, Chef.
Okay. I think we're out of gas on this one here.
Oh, that's me.
Get that going. So I'm gonna put this aside because we probably won't see this later. I'll take how much time do I have? How much more time? Oh. Okay. Okay, well. So in this pan, we're going to do the garnish, which is, sorry. Just do a little, we'll just do enough for just one portion.
So Alexis Higgins, who was here earlier, she did the first demonstration. She was, I think, 10 years old. She was on Fox Network, Chef Junior, and she worked with Gordon Ramsay.
Oh, no way.
So what was that like? When he says, he says a lot of bad words. But obviously you're a lot different than that. Yeah. Very easygoing, yeah. Otherwise, that'd be.
No, I mean, you worked in some bad kitchens.
I did my time. I served my time, right?
Yes, you did.
We have the rhymers in the crowd. Are they still here?
Oh, there you go,
Yes.
yeah.
We should throw a shout out. So Brian Reimer, who's also from Hollister, he worked for Chef Cal at the Highlands Inn.
Yep.
Yeah, and much later, he carried on to become chef de cuisine, a chef of Beijing, Chef Daniel Balut's Beijing restaurant, and much later, I left Bernardus Lodge with Cal, and he sent me off, and he put me in touch with Brian Reimer, who also put me in touch with, got me a job at Daniel Balut's restaurant in New York City, in Manhattan. So, of course, it's a network, but I have to say thank you again on public with a microphone. But, it's a very cool little unique community we have of chefs.
Yeah. And that's one of the big reasons I'm here. I mean, I had to drive an hour and a half.
Yeah. Was it
No,
just
because
the scenery?
I will tell you. I mean, I've hired a lot of people, but some of the best people come from Hollister. They really do.
That's what I'm talking about. Lifted trucks and cooks.
I think we have 2 working for us right now.
Coors Light and Chardonnay.
Yeah. There.
Yes, question. I know you're allergic to microphones, but I'm going to come anyways. Just so everybody else can hear you.
So when you were braising the veal, is it a low enough temperature that it's not going to caramelize in the bottom of the pan, or was it just you're doing?
No, once you add the liquids, there's no caramelization anymore.
But before that, would you want it to?
I would go a little faster. I mean, these are kind of
Right.
Outdoor stoves.
Right. So you were trying to maybe get a little.
The more caramelization. I mean, you don't want it. Once you get a little carbon on there, it for me it changes the character of the meat.
Yeah.
But you just want that. You just want nice like brown sugar color.
Okay. Thank you.
Browning on the pan, browning on the meat. It's all good. Brown's good. Black's bad.
Sounds good.
I'm down with the brown.
Okay. Let's see if I can set up a little area here for a plate up. Okay, we good? Uh-oh.
Does it matter what kind of pan? I see there's different, like aluminum and high carbon steel. Does the pan?
Oh,
whatever the
entirely,
pan's
yeah.
made out of, like
Whatever you can afford.
cast iron.
Really. Honestly, I mean, copper is the best. Copper with a little stainless steel inside. Ah, man, I love them. But the second best would be
Cast iron.
cast iron's great. It really is. Cast iron's good. Aluminum's probably down here, but that's the most affordable.
Okay.
But if you had one, I mean, I bought a couple like French steel pans for fish and meat. Those are good too, and they're not that expensive. These, I think stainless steel. It's just the cleanest and easy to clean. And you spend $200 like a La Creuset or something like that. Those are great too. but they last the rest of your life. Just like, sorry, cut you. You know, a good knife. You know, there's like $300, but it lasts forever. You know, as long as you don't take it on the, you know, on the grinder. But yeah, you know, there's nothing. My kids, they don't cook a lot, but you know, they love using a sharp knife, and it's a lot safer than using a dull knife, because the dull knives kind of sometimes go this way or this way when you're cutting a watermelon or a piece of bread.
I think you're gonna put the guy out of business at the farmer's market with a big wheel sharpening the knives, you know.
But you know, normally this kind of dish would take a lot of time with it. So, but I'm just kind of moving it along a little bit for
So
you.
you need a lot of time? Yeah.
Time's on your hands, yeah. So I did. I'm going to turn this off a little bit. I think we're good there. What you want to do is just cook till the carrots are nice and soft. I added a little bit of thyme. You have the bacon, celery, a little bit of garlic. You could put that aside. This whole dish you could do a day ahead. I have the veal cheeks with the sauce. This is when I add normally what I would do is I would strain out the juice, because this has all the kind of coarse pieces of carrots and other vegetables. But today I'm just going to add, however you want, just a little bit of apricots. And that'll give you some acidity also. And you could add as much as you want. And then a little bit of the Kalamata olives.
So I guess this is when we throw a shout out to B&R Farms, huh?
I think it's good
Have
time.
Have we yet?
Not
No.
yet. We haven't done that yet.
So I think is anybody not familiar with B&R Farms here in Hollister? Okay, it's awesome. It's one of the longest standing industries here in Hollister as far as agriculture goes. Sorry, Mom. Blenheim. Sorry, Mom. My bad. Blenheim apricots and, dried the old-fashioned way out. If you could picture a field, probably twice the size of all this lawn of apricot trays, which are these trays right out here, and they're old-growth redwood trays, and they're cut, pitted, and put out, and just a little bit of sulfur to make sure they maintain their color, and then dried out in the sun. And it's really kind of prideful that we still have them here producing these high quality dried apricots, which you can't really find anywhere in the world.
No, we use them out. Like I said, we buy them fresh. We use them dried in the rooms, and also the chutney is great. A little bit of chutney on the side. I wouldn't say it if I didn't like it, but anytime you have some type of braised meat, you just need either horseradish or chutney or olives or something that's just going to perk things up a little bit. So right now we have the veal cheek. Once again, it's a lot smaller, but you can still cook them for 4 hours. Just go really slow. It's funny because the people that cook like braised meat for 16 hours at a low temperature, when you slice into it, it's almost like a rare piece of meat. It's cooked so slow, but it's definitely cooked for a long time. And that's definitely a trend these days. Once again, I'm not a big person that likes to, I like more rustic things as opposed to cooking with plastic. Even though it's been cooked for 16 hours, some people I've read on Yelp that they think it's undercooked. It's very interesting to cook something for such a long time and still have it bright red almost in the middle. So we have the little, I'll just call it a little mirepoix. Of anything you want to do. I mean, this would be great even with just root vegetables. Or more carrots. Carrots kind of give you the nice color. Or more bacon. Let me go here. you can do this like this, or you can do down a long platter. I really like family style, where you just kind of put that down, put the veal cheeks on, keep it warm, and then when you want to bring it out, just kind of throw the sauce over the top. A little bit of where'd the sprouts go?
Oh, your
Oh,
microgreens?
right here. So this is a little bit of just mustard greens, but they're very small. They've been around for about
Microgreens?
15 years.
I was like that tall when they started being
Yeah,
popular. Yeah.
and I just I remember going, wow, who actually produces these? That's a lot of work.
Hollister, that's who
That's all,
produces
yeah.
these.
So one little veal cheek on top of here. Little sauce over the top. Make sure you get a couple olives in there, a couple apricots. Like I said in the recipe, there's an optional horseradish cream in there, which is, you pretty much can't have a braised meat without horseradish or a piece of steak. Then a little bit of little greens on top. I think since we're here,
Why not? You want to pick an olive? Which one
huh?
Let's see which one you picked. Moon Shadow. Moon Shadow Grove wine olive oil producer, who is actually straight across, who's right in front of the grandstands here. Really good olive oil. They gave us their extra virgin olive oil, and they also gave us they have a lemon oil which is infused with lemon peel, and this is an orange infused olive oil. So
The one I use is not, though.
you use normal.
Normal,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, normal.
Orange is not bad, kind of like asabuco or whatever, but hopefully
gotta-
everybody enjoyed
Do we have a
themselves today.
close up on that? Yeah. I think this is a good time to talk about our vendors. I think everybody's probably starving. My stomach is just. So, anyways, thank you, Chef Cal.
Mike, thanks for having us.
Pleasure. Thanks
Yeah.
for coming out. And I think everybody here in Hollister is very happy to have you, and you're always welcome back.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me, and hopefully we'll see you next year.
All right.
Okay, thanks.